the guy's a joke.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why. And Biden's not a joke.
Well, we can talk about Biden.
Oh, because Biden's like the GOAT and, and Trump's the joke.
No.
Okay, so
I'm critical
tell us
of
why
Biden,
he's a joke.
But I think it's important to say, are we talking about Trump or are we talking about Biden? We can talk about both,
identify
but let's
both.
talk about them one at a time.
Stay on Trump.
Okay,
Stay on Trump
fair.
when he says he's a joke. Tell us why you think he's a joke.
David Pakman decisively silences Patrick Bett. David in a tense discussion about the leadership qualities and differences between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Pakman comes well prepared with thorough evidence and facts, illustrating why Trump's approach is ineffective, while Patrick Bet David evades and denies the facts presented. As the debate progresses, Patrick Bet David's bias becomes evident as he dismisses Pakman's points. Let's explore the debate further and see how David Pakman effectively educates Patrick Bet David in this intense exchange.
Promises made that were not kept that he told us he was going to achieve for us. Let's look at some of them. I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with, his word, a beautiful replacement where everyone will have care and it's going to be affordable. Okay. Just flat out didn't happen. The one proposal that Republicans made would have led to 24 to 32 million people losing health care. I consider that a failure. I don't think Obamacare is perfect, but it's better than the thing Trump said he was going to bring us. That was just a failure. 2, build a wall across the entire U.S.-Mexico border, which Mexico is going to pay for. It's not even worth having a conversation. I mean, just a joke. Of course, completely didn't happen. Solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. No progress made. In fact, to be honest, and this is, if we want to delve into that, moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem got us further from that because it's seen as a sort of a taunting measure if you understand the internal politics of what's going on there. Was going to, made some space travel promises. I mean, I can't think of promises he made that he did keep other than, I guess he was going to do tax reform and he did tax reform. So as a policy matter, a complete and total failure. I do think maybe the First Step Act on criminal justice reform did some good things. I'm sort of glad to give him credit on that. But so, on policy, failure. And then, on rhetoric, we could spend 3 hours just looking at quotes.
So I'm curious to see exactly how you think now. So
yeah.
If COVID doesn't happen, does he get reelected?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because his followers don't care about policy. I interview them all the time and I say...
His followers don't care about policy.
They don't care about achievements. They care about Hillary bad, Hillary Marxist, Hillary socialist.
You think Hillary's good?
Did I say that?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, no. I don't think Hillary was a good candidate. And she's to my right. No, I don't think Hillary's good, but I thought she was better than Trump.
She's to your right.
She's to my right. Yeah, Hillary is
she'd
a
be
very...
a moderate conservative Democrat in your world.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, give me a left-wing Hillary policy, like a really left-wing Hillary policy.
I couldn't tell you, but that's
Exactly. There is none.
But it's not the point. But you're saying you would much rather have a Hillary than a Trump.
I would rather.
Okay, so go back to...
Much rather, I don't know.
So go back to he gets reelected. Why? Because his voters could care less about policies. That's what you're saying.
Care less.
Fine, no problem. So
David Pakman is completely accurate in his assessment. Trump had promised a comprehensive health care plan to replace Obamacare, which never materialized. The only Republican alternative suggested would have resulted in 24 to 32 million people being uninsured, a significant oversight that hasn't received much attention. Additionally, the border wall was only partially built and funded by U.S. taxpayers, contrary to promises that Mexico would pay. Patrick doesn't counter these points. Instead, he diverts the discussion towards Biden and Hillary. Listening to Pakman lay out the details, it's evident that Trump's presidency delivered more hype than tangible results.
But we both know that it's not the right that elects him, and it's not the left that elects whoever on the left. It's whoever's in the middle, the 8 to 12% that kind of says, you know what, I'm going to go this side, this time around, or versus more people come out for, their candidate, meaning a lot of people
really
would come out for Obama. Okay, so explain yourself.
What it actually more depends on is who chooses to go out and vote. It's less about, there's often this idea in politics, and there's lots of people who are really good on this issue that you could talk to, Rachel Bidikofer, and even Frank Luntz, even though he's partisan, I think he would concede this as well. He's on the right.
Pollster, you mean,
Yes.
Frank Luntz, yeah.
The idea of the swing independent voter that sometimes on presidential elections will vote for a Republican and sometimes a Democrat, very, very small percentage of people. More common is that a candidate either activates people to vote or those same people just stay home. In the US, we have an embarrassingly low voter turnout. It's between usually 52 and 60%, I think. So almost half the electorate isn't even voting. It's less about people who vote one way and then another way. It's more about people who say, I'm just going to stay home versus I'm going to go out and vote. If they vote, it's clear.
So you're saying that the middle voter doesn't matter at all?
No, I didn't say that.
So what are you saying then?
I said they matter much less than who is partisan chooses to vote.
But it's fair to say that, okay, if he continues, and there's no COVID, he would get reelected. Do you think let's specifically target the middle? Forget the people on the side that would show up. Okay?
Well, but why? That's
the question I want to do with you right now. So if we specifically focus on the middle, the independent, the libertarians, would they have chosen to stick with Trump, or would most have wanted to replace him with somebody else?
It's a polling question. I don't have the data.
Well, you're the poll guy, so I'm asking you.
I don't have the data in front of me.
Okay, I'd be curious to know. So but you're also correcting me to say that's not true. That's the middle and the independents that didn't elect him. You're saying it's who showed up that elected him.
As a general concept,
right.
Elections swing less based on independents who sometimes vote Republican and Democrat. That's a small factor. A bigger factor is, are voters activated by their candidate, or are they deactivated where they go, I don't like this person, but I'm definitely not voting for that one. I'll stay home.
So isn't it a bit of both, though?
It's a bit of both.
Because
what
we
I'm
all saw what happened in the Rust
Belt.
Belt. We've seen countless stories about, I voted for Obama. I'm not racist. I voted for Obama. What are you talking about? I voted for Bush, then I voted for Obama, and then Trump showed up. He made some promises. He was in the Midwest. He was out there. He was reaching out, touching hands. Hillary was too busy in New Mexico and Arizona. I decided to vote for Trump. I was sort of done with Trump. Now I'm back on Biden.
Yeah,
we see so many stories like that. These independents.
That's an anecdote, and so I think anecdotes are fine. But one of the things that is important is to zoom out from anecdotes and to look at the broader data. And the other thing that's important is a lot of that cross-voting, it cancels each other out because you see roughly the same amount from one side versus the other. And what I mean by that is there was, if you look at the crossover in 2016, the number of Democrats who decided to vote Trump in 2016 was very similar to the number of Democrats who decided to vote McCain in 2008. So it's a roughly predictable number.
You're talking about Democrats who have switched over. I'm talking about just legitimate independents.
I'm giving you just one example of this, people who go either way or whatever. It's relatively stable and predictable, so it's rarely a difference maker. That's my only point. And we can anecdotes all day. Jim Bob's wife decided to vote Hillary or what. That's totally fine.
If you're enjoying this video so far, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. It really helps out the channel. Now, Pakman emphasizes that elections are not won by merely flipping a few swing voters, but by who actually shows up to vote. This is a crucial point, especially considering the US's embarrassingly low voter turnout of 52% to 60%. The real impact is made by those who are motivated enough to show up, not just a small group of undecided voters switching sides. Then, PBD dismisses that data and shares a random anecdote about his voting history, from Obama to Trump to Biden, which, while interesting, isn't a substitute for data. Pakman, on the other hand, focuses on real numbers and solid data, whereas PBD appears to be searching for a narrative.
Let's do data, because you're a data guy.
Yeah.
So if you're a data guy, tell us, when you're saying it's not necessarily that the middle would have had Trump, would he have needed the middle to get reelected in 2024, in 2020?
He would have needed roughly the same percentage that Republicans tend to need. Trump suffered because on the thing, would he have gotten reelected? It's not only if it didn't happen, Trump probably would have gotten reelected. I think if when it started, instead of Trump saying, we have 15 cases, soon going to be 0, do flu vaccines work on it? What about bleach injections? All that stuff. If instead of that, Trump said, hey, you know what? We're the United States. we're going to deal with this better than anybody else. We're making MAGA masks. And by the way, 50 cents on every dollar will go, his normal fundraising scams, right? Do the scams, but do the MAGA masks. And if he said, we're going to be absolutely the best on this thing, he wins. We saw it in New Zealand. We saw it in other places. It was a missed opportunity. Now, I think it was just a miscalculation in the sense that somewhere Trump probably thought it was really going to go away. I don't know who was around him. I don't know by Easter of 2020, right? I mean, okay. So I think Trump, even if he had just done that.
PBD seems unwilling to acknowledge it, but a significant reason Trump lost in 2020 was the general dissatisfaction with his pandemic response. Plain and simple. His approval ratings plummeted. As Pakman pointed out, if Trump had embraced the crisis, promoting MAGA masks, MAGA hand sanitizers, or even MAGA toilet paper, his campaign could have seen different results. Instead, PBD constantly dodges and deflects throughout the discussion, while David Pakman consistently brings actual data to the table. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section below.